A demoness named Hariti lived at the time of Shakyamuni Buddha. In order to feed her 500 children, she went around stealing the children of others. The Buddha was aware of the great harm she was causing, and to appease her, promised that if she stopped, his Sangha would offer her tormas daily to feed herself and her family. Thus began the custom of offering tormas to Hariti and her 500 children, which has continued to the present day. This was probably the first use of tormas in the Buddha's lifetime. The historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, who lived 2,500 years ago in northeastern India, achieved enlightenment in Bodh Gaya beneath this Bodhi tree. In his lifetime, he established a tradition of monks and nuns who shunned the life of householders, wore robes made of patches, disdained material possessions, and begged for their food. Thousands of pilgrims from around the world come to visit this sacred place where the Buddha achieved enlightenment. The 17th Gyalwan Karmapa, Ogyen Trinley Dorje, considered a living Buddha, presides over an annual prayer festival here called the International Kagyu Monlam for World Peace. Every year he designs elaborate sculptures called tormas to serve both as artistic inspiration to the Monlam attendees and as offerings to the ever-present Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The subject of tormas is complex and their meaning is profound. We will shed light on this mysterious art form through the words of the Karmapa and other Kagyu lineage masters. This film contains what they told us about tormas. About 50 monks and nuns gather in Bodh Gaya every year before the Kagyu prayer festival to make the beautiful butter sculptures known as tormas. They are making the dough for the offering tormas called shalzes. Flour is mixed with melted margarine and kneaded thoroughly until the perfect texture is obtained. In Tibet, butter and roasted barley flour would have been used, but in India the ingredients have been adjusted to withstand a warmer climate. 2 or 3 representatives from Karma Kagyu monasteries and nunneries throughout the Himalayan region arrived in Bodh Gaya to learn the ancient art of butter sculpture. They will be qualified to teach these skills to others when they return home to their monasteries. But what is a torma, and what do their shapes and colours represent? The 17th Gyalwang Karmapa, supreme head of a 900-year-old lineage, explains.
청부 진반에 진고아래 손세 디감의 숨번에 손데다 도당아 나게 림벌 망보체네다 준비시도지 도메게 규제 아트도 피게 총 피게 조어도 차대도스 근데 델 미세가 다 도메 친이 용라 차버지 다 피게 조르도 딘주스다 피게 친부친이자 참에 용라 차버지 미세가 요만했어 이날 지당 그 토마스들상 아주 별개래야 토마스라고 해요 균센데 테레야 아주 니스르 다시르 체비나 아니 토르사디 아니 샬라야 짐바 테르베트 아니 마샤바디 마샤베다 자와 충고요 先了，到那先了在外国呢动啊，这样做的唐布上个就点那个，到么那的做的给，叫给的，给这的啊，的女性给这做了呀，到么当年就做了在外国呢，到么基本研究上，但提考段找外面找什么，这里不全个东西。
In the most basic form, a torma is made of roasted barley flour and butter and is offered to enlightened deities during the course of a ritual. The physical substance comprising the torma must always be cleanly made and of the freshest possible ingredients. This is because tormas, once consecrated in a ritual, become sacred objects. After the ritual is complete, the offered torma is tossed outside, becoming food for animals and sometimes even for impoverished beggars. The form of Buddhism that became popular in Tibet is known as the Vajrayana, or the thunderbolt vehicle. Vajra has the meaning of being both indestructible, like a diamond, and invincible, like a powerful weapon. The Vajrayana is based on the earlier traditions of Buddhism, the Hinayana and the Mahayana that were taught by the Buddha himself. A distinct feature of the Vajrayana path is that in addition to the Mahayana practices that emphasize compassion and understanding of emptiness, which are derived from the sutras, there are also the profound practices of the four classes of Tantra: Kriya, Charya, Yoga, and highest Yoga Tantra. In Tibet, the highest Yoga Tantra, the most sublime Tantra of all, was widely practiced, containing powerful methods of spiritual alchemy which can result in complete enlightenment in one lifetime. The highest Yoga Tantra, also known as the Vajrayana or secret Mantrayana, involves deities, mandalas, mudras, mantras, fire pujas, physical yoga, and the extensive use of sacred substances known as tormas. These practices were traditionally kept secret because of their great power and their potential for being misunderstood. To engage in them properly requires initiation and extensive explanation by a qualified teacher. The Vajrayana Buddhist masters of Tibet are the gatekeepers of a powerful esoteric tradition for Indian Buddhist tantric practice, with its foundation in compassion and emptiness, fully merged with the indigenous shamanistic religions practiced in Tibet since ancient times. This formidable combination produced a unique and powerful form of spiritual attainment. This torma is called the Doktur in Tibetan, which means the torma for averting negativity. It has a special significance in the long protector ritual of Bernachen. For the duration of the 7-day ritual, it is considered to be the residence not of the wisdom protector, but of the various classes of activity protectors. On the last day of the ritual, the protectors who reside in the torma are asked to leave, and the torma is imagined to transform into all sorts of powerful weapons. Then it is cast at an effigy made of dough or of paper, roughly in a human shape. At this point, all the negativity of all sentient beings has been summoned and coerced into this effigy, and the torma, which has become a huge arsenal of weapons, explodes and destroys the negativity of all beings.
다 지당 제 생진 망치라고 제기와라. 되네 생진 망치 세드 다제 플라다 드레싱 된저제 다 사야다 되네 생진 소라 가보요레 삼바다고 제게 생진 망치 제기와라. 되네 망치 뮤직 베쳐들라 되네 가란서 토르마 소기와라. Torma de kare zogi ore sena tene kapkala tene yulla ta tene jitin bela tin so chebe ke chetla tene yalu rasam ya anda bota lung da bota randa bota tene hanna gosam se kapkala hawanda bota nawanda bota goanda bota tinde torma zoni tene tate puri ore la tene te senjin la nense meziba tene tati ge bang sambe ge tawatia pa kang to banda bojeta tene namba sanji be tawala senjin na nense misi pa tinika ye be tene dervanda yore.
Tibetans believe that the world is full of supernatural powers who live in mountains, rivers, rocks, and trees, and that the well-being of humans requires that these forces are frequently dealt with. Every region in Tibet has its own local deities, and the practices of the early religions focused mainly on the temporary benefits obtained by propitiating beneficial and neutral spirits, or in a worst-case scenario, by subjugating harmful ones. These indigenous practices included the incantation of magical formulas, exorcism, divination, omens, oracles, the destruction of demons, plus symbolic sacrifice and ransom, practices normally associated with shamanism. When Indian Buddhism spread to Tibet, it did not attempt to suppress indigenous beliefs and practices, but rather wove itself into the rich fabric of existing customs until a completely organic synthesis occurred. And in the process, any instances of cruelty in the early religions were eradicated as new practices informed by love and compassion replaced the old. As Buddhism transformed the culture, religious practice became more introspective, and the need to overpower outer forces was tempered by a profound motivation to tame the inner demon of one's own ego. This is reenacted in various forms of meditation, in which tormas play a symbolic role, such as during the Lama dances that are performed on important spiritual occasions. According to the 17th Karmapa, in one Lama's tradition, when a child became a monk, he would be taken to a room and taught to make tormas. Why? Because before the child entered the monastery, he had worldly protectors, but after he became a monk and took refuge in the 3 jewels, he stopped paying attention to the worldly protectors and they departed. But the wisdom protectors did not come right away, so there was a gap. This is because the connection to the wisdom protectors is made gradually, through empowerments and practice. So in that gap between the departure of the worldly protectors and the arrival of the wisdom protectors, the Lama felt it was important that his monks make torma offerings to spirits in order to pacify them and their hindrances, and to request their help in the practice. And even after the wisdom protectors arrived, he instructed the monks in his monastery to continue to make torma offerings to spirits as well as to the wisdom protectors. The 12th Goshir Gyaltsab Rinpoche is a leading incarnate Lama in the Karma Kagyu lineage, and an emanation of the Bodhisattva Vajrapani. He assumed the role of chief ritual master at the age of 26, and to this day advises and guides the monks and ritual masters on the intricacies of tormas.
그 봐도 소샤만 뭐 여러 상모장에 놓은 게 뭐도 다지 또르마 세계 되는데 거던 또르봐 또르마 셴바드 차바 용수 또르바 차바 또르바 셴바드 차바 매바셔 나 또르마 세리 다 대양도 또르마 되네 또마라 링담을 뭐 여래 링담이라 다지 또르마 다 중국 이제요 봐 이제는 중국을 또마다이 조배 땅 되네 인공 땅 공다 땅 근데 또르마 땅주 되게 되네 rāngā kī tōma tāngē lā yāng tēne sūnām chēmbō yō rē tēne tōma tāngwā tēne sēmchē māmbō sō jāng rū sē sēdār ā rē sē nā tēne rē tēne kī tā mē yāng sō chū yō rū yō rē tēne sēmchē chā chī gu rā rā tēne pā chū rā lāng gō rā rē tēne 삼삼 또 잡으려 시도고 돼 누가 저도 저게 소지 소든 저게 사주고 그래 심지어 중국에 소당 류게 저당 당 류게 당 가도 당 되게 그 사이에 주의 있어요 그것도 사주지 그래 다 또만 당긴 거 또만 당는데 되게 틈네 그냥 소 맛이니 되게 되게 심지어만 뭐 소장 로하 인세 소 되고 요새
Tormas were used in Indian Buddhism in a limited way, but experienced a full flowering in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, which makes extensive use of elaborate tormas. But how does the presence of a physical substance like a torma influence mystical revelation?
제가 띵이 숨나 숨 차네 땡지기 누바서나 안에 될 누바서가 있는데 가서 디 년가의 상에 님지 내 상이나 되네 무주 유로아의 유산 디 균생의 되네 단 미게 변나 체만도지 아주지 남도게 변 도만도지 인다고 가서지 아주 진진 도야 체만 집이 체매 미디엔도 주고 알았어 미디엔도 도마체 다디 남버 도야 미디엔도 도마체 다 될래야 미디엔 도마 될래야 띵다 띵인진다 아니 이제 나기 거는다 나기 가서지 나기 저래 거는 고민두산 미세다디 띵중 그 처벌을 이제 처음입니다 누가 차이 두산디 두산 되네
The torma is a physical substance or support that, together with mantras, sacred sound, and samadhi, meditative concentration, enables a practitioner endowed with diligence and faith to potentially experience liberation and great spiritual powers within the Vajrayana.
지당의 상하기 내고서 상하 띵인승기 내조디 조차리요. 안에 상하 띵인승기 내조 건배 거서 답을 하들려야지. 지당다 이기 건배 하시다. 이기 건배 하시다. 근데 야지 미대 다들 강금주기 때 가서 다지 20배 이제 이기고면 하 탐지부로 지다 아야 20배 된대 용 되가 나는 그냥 땡 가셔야지 파이 땡이 주도 용한데다 딱 파이 땡 될래야 나 가셔 파이게다 낭이 다 파이 송이 나바세와 이도 가셔 파이 송이다 송이 매비냐 파이 다 가서 파티다 남바담 제베다 구시다 남바다 제바 뭐이바 파티 퉁이 퉁 파티 퉁암宁不长特别呀但是用的要的是别人我就缺点都不吃啥的我就缺点都不的那个超级那的남바다 제바 뭐이베 상계 그 추구 된다고 이제 추구 꾸더위 천체질이야 이내 하다 때에 꾸이 송년기 넘버 매버치네 조대다 상계 투기 연대 지 체매 시당 안에 장조区 디주 장조区 디주 상버차 다들用的多 다가는 시 또만을 이내야 대다 대신이 지당게 꾸이 넘버 예매 강다리야 그런 거 또마 디기 다 숭이 입디주 관에 파티기宁不往 더 상버체 하이 때도 차 하이 넘버도 제법 뭐 이비 때도 차 용디 요래 그래서 다들 넘버 뭐 이비 때도 차네 때는지 하이 내줘라야 줘야 돼 미팅래 하이 내줘 때 아주 담보 가서 내 담보 벌이야 내 담보배 가사 되줄이야지 미배 땡지 떼순도 보지 미배 땡도 보지 거야 된다 개좀 붙이라 차디 요래서 디준세나 땡네 다디 땡들이야 다 지금이라 망보요 디나 도마디 미팅이 치라로 찍차디 요래서 지단 시대 차네 다나시 삼점이야 근데 도마디 하이 미팅 잡아서도 마세베 양 기기 미팅으로 전 다디 기를 매 양디 이제 가서다 천자를 매와 안다야지 이제 차별 미디 시계 와도 수수수 미팅 미자 수수수 용디 요래서 간다지 땡차래야 삼점다지 하이 항아 땡인지 송고 나는 이제 하이 땡차 삼점다 쟁아 땡인지야 쟁이 땡차 이제 뭐不用 다토메기 천도의 입기태네 지리 규định 송배 지 도메 입 중세에 자요네 중세 그때 내 자실 도메 입 자실 샤바메 다 자실 남샤 샤요 안다 도메 천도 테네야 미세가 규định 나네 자실 샤바스 개요만 이미네야 페도 라마 코만남제 하베 라다 최경 수마라 소베 다 되던 되지 샹고레체 다 오에다 밀럼기 나도 대네 ane 소소소소기 이미자 망보 아니 지 천도 민자 망보 베나지 하소소기 군도 팀베지 천도 민자 망보 야나지 레 소소다 팀베지 천도 가스르만자 요니야
The shape, proportions and colour of every given Torma were transmitted directly from the deity to the mind of the Mahasiddha by way of dreams or visions. Thus the Torma symbolizes the deity's transcendent qualities and truly functions as a symbolic form of enlightenment. The precise replication of this form is extremely important, for it not only enhances spiritual practice, but facilitates accomplishment. This is why instruction manuals for Tormas exist in each and every tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. For Tormas are not just the colourful, interesting and unusual sculptures they might appear to be at first glance. Kyabje Tenga Rinpoche was a great Siddha of the Karma Kagyu tradition. He served the 16th Karmapa in Rumtek Monastery as the Vajra Master, the chief Lama presiding over tantric rituals. He was known to be one of the foremost experts in the Karma Kagyu lineage on Tormas and other ritual arts.
송지게 또마가 송저대라 되네 Sombala Marge Bune, then Semupoma, Tiga Nona, then the Rapton Yaponi, the Sonjiga Kawa Torma Tiri. Tang Arong Song, Song Doji Teba, Namso Lengen Tanjiki, and say a Torma Nanga Torma, Song Torma Tandam Torma, Zotan Joyore. Tasang Torma Tela, then 造啊上者拉手堂机，切贝个多嘛，岗位个多嘛，热贝个多嘛，他听着啊，电贝个多嘛，听着啊，那么也有的，切多儿，切多儿，岗多儿，热多儿，电多儿，等切多儿从工作拉手把这一门着啊，人主门着啊。 拉小啊，拉小个多嘛，差不个多嘛。天农呢，天天吃多多，工作做多，等到拉手把当，盐等着话过分多，卡通等着话过分多，盐等着话过分多，我送去听，这说是个，在那边那家己打不赢，干嘛把头送钱把他，干嘛把些送把东送多些拉手把，去等着话过分多送，他这个人的蛮牛把这里种啊的。 等这农人个撒家个空所以呢，等撒些更加宁波，等撒些公嘛，那么那个差距，他给路到位呢，也要是3年，上在人百姓的，你们到位呢，等2年啊，等我说我就说嘛2年啊，这把头上啊你是障碍。 这说是个差距，他听着完了，等说是一门着啊，等中完的。 他这个一当看到拉萨把建筑门上话的嘛都给，等你这个中台这个700个多嘛的啦，统计等你搞巴来弄香啊、德政啊，这啦等你让来农业让来面吧，看来没掌握当地收入。 这些当中，我们啊，红上来，是干嘛？听说，从街到从就上把当地，各种投资上了当地从我红上啦，他们，等你这多么香啊！这顿利用的，等你我呢，本来一些个得着，那么呢，当然看到干了，马人当单吧，肉家当单吧。 等你这个浪把个这呢，等你切不出汤鸡做头吧，那天着吧，切多少做就这个多么汤鸡个，没啥光在这等你有的。
Back in Bodh Gaya, preparations for this year's Kagyu Monlam are in full swing. The Torma artists are busy devising the materials needed to make the elaborate tormas. Indian margarine is melted with paraffin. In Tibet, butter would have been used, but the warmer climate in India demands improvisation, and the artists have concocted a new medium to serve their purpose here. The margarine-paraffin mixture takes a whole night to cool down, and then is meticulously scraped into fine shavings. These shavings are gathered and kneaded together into a finely textured dough. A little water is added to make it more pliable and to keep it from drying out. The next step in the process is to add pastry margarine imported from abroad. This third ingredient is thoroughly blended with the wax margarine mixture until the perfect texture for sculpting is achieved. The resulting wax butter clay is smooth, elastic and firm enough to carve and will withstand the brutal Indian noonday sun. Then oil colours are added to create the colour palette. These colours are similar to those used in tanka painting. The Karma Kadri school of art demands a pastel palette for a subtle effect. These colours are a bit brighter and were chosen by the 17th Karmapa, who created this new Torma genre for the Karma Kagyu and drew the preliminary sketches himself. Across town at Tergar Monastery, we meet Venerable Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche, a young meditation master who is famous for his ability to present the ancient wisdom of Tibet in a fresh and engaging manner.
The benefit of the making Torma or result, such making big effort to make Torma, and the special here in Gajut we make a lot of elaborate Torma, big Torma. Actually, making Torma is also accumulate merit, what we call merit, means making good karma, and also purified bad karma, negativities, and also obstacles, outer, inner, secret obstacles, because Torma is main purpose is to remove obstacles. That's why it's benefit for remove obstacles. And as you make more effort, you have more benefit also, of course, also, because if you have cause, strong cause and condition, then you will have big result also. That's the law of the interdependent, isn't it? That's why if you make more big Torma, elaborate Torma, make more effort, more time, you will have more result, more benefit. But it's possible to without Torma also, possible, because some yogi, they don't have a lot of Torma. Milarepa doesn't have Torma, much Torma. Maybe at the beginning a little bit, but when he really introduced it, he don't have even Torma, he's not offering, He said, everything is in my mind. And then he's recognized high level of, achieve high level of realization, recognized true nature. Even there's no Torma also possible. Who make Torma, If there's only monastic monks allowed to make Torma, or even lay person, make Torma. Actually, everybody allowed to make Torma. In Tibet, there's two tradition, what we call Bhikshu and Yogi. Both make Torma. Bhikshu also make Torma, and Yogis, they make a lot of Torma. Sometimes the Yogis make more Torma than Bhikshus. They do different pujas, different praise, and they make more Tormas also. So it doesn't matter who you are. As long as if you like to practice, then you can make Torma. And Torma is support for your meditation.
Karma Wangchuk, a young monk who taught himself to draw as a child, is one of the 5 artists chosen by the Karmapa to supervise and teach the apprentice monks.
In 2005, on November, when His Holiness called us to learn the Torma in Judo, that time His Holiness called me at his room, and His Holiness talked about make the design of Torma. So His Holiness make that time the many sketches about Tormas. Then I make the details Tormas. But His Holiness said this time is our first time, and we are going to make a Torma in Buddhagaya. So we must make our Kajul lineage is better. So His Holiness make a Marpa, Mila, and Gampopa, these 3. Then after that, His Holiness say again, oh, this is not enough. I think we must put another god and deities also. So His Holiness put some deities in right and left and top of the Marpa and Mila Gampopa. And His Holiness say, and it is also not enough for only that. Then His Holiness make some auspicious thing in front of the Marpas. And under His Holiness make it auspicious, the Tashitake, and then in Milarepa he put a Kachinshi, and Gompopa we put the dream of when which the Gompopa dream about something, then we put that one, the Gompopa's dream. Actually Gompopa have a 32 something kinds of dreaming about futures. So we put one kind of the dreaming. We make a Torma before His Holiness do very hard work. Every day His Holiness look at scriptures, a very old one, which is the old scriptures by Karmapas, old, from maybe it's beginning from the third Karmapa, which third Karmapa making at third Karmapa's time they do a Mollam in Tibet. Yeah, same as like that. Then His Holiness look at the books, and His Holiness think what kind of deities we have to put here, which deities we must put here, and His Holiness took all those deities from the holy books and scriptures. The Venerable Sangyampa Rinpoche was giving the Rinchen Tenzo transmission to His Holiness, His Eminence the Jalsab Rinpoche, and many Rinpoche was there. When I was called into his presence, His Eminence Jalsab Rinpoche said that century ago, there in Tibet, they made Manjushri Torma with Manjushri wielding a sword and Maitreya Torma of Stupa. But I do not remember how they looked. So His Holiness, at that time His Holiness brought one paper and pencil and keep in front of him. Then he went undercover his seine, his shawl. Then after 2-3 minutes, His Holiness come out from his seine. Then His Holiness make a rough sketches of those tormas. Then His Holiness showed his sketches and explained the details to me, and I do that final sketches.
다 도마디 간서 상막에 쇠버려 와라 쇠버려 다 민디다 야가 있어내다 누구서 나는 얘간 레고래 딱 기계네 가제 되어래 티치리 갑술라 아니 디기 얘네 얘간에 요타 나라 디기 숨데 빼치 뭐요래 아니 데네치리 땡가 도마서에 치당가 용기 미라 당가 디 내가 가르치고 나한테는 가르치고 그래서나 빼는 자 간서 미시디 가바이네 깨고로 와라 디깨 용거서 다 델라 단나 간서 델라 이는 뭐기 잡지 쉬어야 될라 땡가랑게 빼 깨바상보 레도 삼삼다지 가랑 빼 손한테 레기도 디 마세 디니 디가나 디니 가서 다 이는 뭐기 까 가리 넘바디다 가랑게 다 잡지 쉬기 있음니 대가랑아 니세메와 내가 디 제기어 지거래 근데 제거래 쇼갱아 가든체 디랑아 디 내가 들랑아 두고래 내가 단나바도 가랑게 디 내가 배신 제대로 거래 다도이네 가 녀비 레갈라당에서 들에 가서다 다른 녀메 요 말을 말 제투기 요래라 당갈에 치 개인 치쇼도 가르서 디 레가디 딱 같이 이가라도 직 야보시래나 땡나 나라 셈바 지부 마세 로봇도에 코로나도에 셈바 지부 용거로 와라 데 가르치는 용거로서나 이신부 투니에서나 안도 삼바 지부 요래.
Despite his humble manner, Lama Sangye is a master sculptor who apprenticed as a youth with two of the greatest living artists in Bhutan. He has carved statues out of clay and wood from a very young age and is one of the main people responsible for bringing the ever-evolving tradition of butter sculpture to a whole new level of artistry. In 2005, the Karmapa arranged for him to learn some techniques from the Gelugpa monks at Gyuto, who are admired for their butter sculptures. Around this time, the Karmapa had conceived of an elaborate altar for the Kagyu Monlam and tasked Lama Sangye and other monks with implementing his new designs. Then, in 2007, the Karmapa appointed Lama Sangye to teach the art of butter Torma to shrine masters from 22 different Karma Kagyu monasteries. Lama Sangye comes to Bodh Gaya every year to sculpt for the Kagyu Monlam and continues to guide less experienced artists, teaching them the techniques he has perfected over his lifetime. The Torma artists affectionately call him Appa Sangye. Appa means father. Uza Nyingpo became the Karmapa's personal shrine attendant in 2000, right after the Karmapa escaped from Tibet. His duties involve setting up the altar, making tormas, and preparing ritual equipment for the Karmapa's personal practices. Oza Nyingpo is one of the most experienced Torma artists and returns every year to supervise production. Annie Loden is from Tilokpur Nunnery, where she has lived as a nun for more than 20 years. She learned to make tormas early on from the senior nuns at her nunnery and studied butter sculpture with Lama Sangye during a 3-month training at Rumtek. For her, making tormas in this precious place of the Buddha's enlightenment is an opportunity to accumulate merit for sentient beings and to improve her skills in butter sculpture.
My name is London Sering. My from is Telukpur Nanare. I'm old is 35. This is Buddha Shakya Thupa.
In a traditional monastic setting in Tibet, monks and nuns would not have been allowed to team up in the butter sculpture preparations for the great Kagyu Monlam. However, the Karmapa has made a point of adapting ancient traditions to modern times to make sure that the nuns have the same educational and artistic trainings as monks. The nuns are making jians, or ornaments that resemble flowers. Making the ornaments is excellent training in the difficult medium of wax butter. Gradually, the artists will master working with the soft texture and will become expert in making the intricate designs and the delicate shadings of colors. Eventually, they will move on to more difficult subject matter, such as the statues, the deity tormas. This style of jian is called Amchok Metok in Tibetan. The big day has come. After 3 weeks of work, the tormas are ready for final inspection by His Holiness. The moment of truth has arrived. The artists are standing by with great anticipation, for this has been their big opportunity to offer their best efforts out of devotion to the Karmapa and the Kagyu lineage. It was their challenge to transform the magnificent vision of the Gyalwang Karmapa into physical manifestation. They tried their best, but naturally they did not always get everything right, down to the last detail.
I was thinking, I wouldn't do this. I was like,这个都开始，都开始水了，没有，都现在，你这波的水下，真这个，平时选拔的这多，你这波你要就水下。你到了，你看咱兄弟的事情，民主不是的。我们民主吧。民主吧，对，主规强。
Overall, the Karmapa is very pleased with how the tormas have turned out. They have reached new heights of artistry this year. This is by far one of the most sophisticated sets of butter sculptures ever created for display at the Kagyu Monlam.
Something doesn't matter.
The Tormas are transported across the town of Bodh Gaya at night. All the artists have come to help and make sure the sculptures don't get damaged on the way to the stupa. The wooden plaques are covered with plastic wrap to protect the soft wax butter from dust and dirt. Water is sprayed on them to keep the materials moist and supple. This spritzing will continue at intervals throughout the week, once the Tormas are on the shrine. The Tormas are set up beneath the Bodhi tree and will serve both as artistic inspiration to the Monlam attendees and as offerings to the ever-present Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. These deities may be hidden from ordinary human sight, but their presence is deeply felt within the hearts and minds of devotees. These beautiful artworks have contributed to the grandness of the Kagyu Monlam, but the time has come to dismantle them. At this point, they serve as a reminder of the impermanence of all things, one of the basic teachings of the Buddha. Tibetans gather around to collect the remnants of the Tormas. After a week of prayers in the presence of many great masters, the Tormas have absorbed incredible blessings. Now the wax butter will be taken away by devotees, who will cherish the substance and will use it for medicine to heal cuts and wounds. It can also be used for smoke offerings designed to chase away negative spirits and bless the fields and the small creatures who live there. This will ensure good harvests and well-being in the year to come. Even this simple shape of a small ball, all that remains of the Kagyu Monlam butter sculptures, is still infused with the power and blessing of this sacred gathering.
지당 다 도만저디 가르쳐다 아주지 감상기 롤리네 다지 도메기 진 제도 덴베지 도메기 아트 규제 시다야 아웨어레스 안다 주규 신다래 대다 대신 요아레스 어디를 상하랑 거는 양 창모로리야 지당 참에 주규 상만 나네다 규제대수 양보대수 주 미지게다 창마로 냠도직 통투야르지 뒤주지게 통해야 냠도 통투야르 추면서 드르지기 예를 체체 가스 규바 가서 가는 주 레베차 랭컨도 체비스 다 이번에 시제디 시제 나는데 지 거규바 랑기 규베게다 남된 상하지당 뒤토는 지그 배나 Torma Chao de Ngaju Yun Xin de Torma Chao Di the Yip Di Ngaju Gyu the Wonder Chuxin, the Basang Dongbu, the Digital Treasure of Che Lusan, and Delta Lusan of Sanji, Ngaju Yun, G. Gyu Gamakams and Dinik, Yuben Nalolia, and the Digital Yun, there's one to Tan Yung Gage in the Lamsan, the Wonder Tabe Galia, Wonder. 수신 주의다 빠섬 신도는 태양 되잖아요. 초직네 더 리베차 규바 가산을 내야 할때 이내야 리베차 뒤주 천시에 대 가르쳐도 버텨버려서는 규반디 까마그 규베 지당기 까마그 양거수 그다 지당 거규 디나는 장 거규 몰람기 채완을 저 천도 그러지 지 거규 몰람 사야지 점리 추리면 탐제랴 시티체도 많아 임바다 아주 추로 그 추리다 유배 야와면 상만념도 지 좀네 아주 냠도 점링기 체도 지 리게 피아노 된대지 전투제로지 지르거 유체지 양고스 그 유망치 저 재미있어 혼조 숨기양 어미뮤리 지리 모름 수이 나와르체 금숨매오 동해 예슬 수이 시월데 제첸 케양 투도지 나모 부다이 최구문나 기구만데 연대 죄례데 다쇠네 괜이라 땡기 겹수시 셀류군 방송부 대배 가신주 디니시송 로송원파 양양 최기 연년 타조 체내용과 체치 타르베죠 예남 동니 셈zam당 나무 다마이 마류 되세 마처디메 강대외 동바 다수에네 교인이라 대인기 겹수시 칠루군 방송 대배 가신주 남다 팀송推去充电 Pungri Pardarne Gombe Jet Chebel Drope Dembe Dremeche Tisum Papa Rubgeke Namu Sangaye Chonam Yondu Gunla Chame Tamche Chongirzi Tasune Kyeyi La Dengi Gypsushi Chilugu Bangsugu Tebe Gashi Unjo Sumgiya Lami Muri Jiri Morum Sui